I don't want to take anything away from Peng. Like maybe she would have got a hand to it. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean it's an incredible block from Gurma. Why are you smiling?
I in my head I'm thinking Peng is now the only goalkeeper at Chelsea with no trauma against Barcelona.
Hello, everyone. You're watching All About the W, your weekly deep dive into the WSL stats, stories, and standout performances. Let's break it all down. I'm Kai, and as always, I'm joined by Ash. Hey, Ash, I know we planned to record this episode a couple of days ago. It's been a long week for both of us. Maybe not the best weekend, however you want to sort of look at it. But Ash and I are here to talk about uh, the Champions League match day 4 that happened midweek last week, and also give a quick update on the Subway League Cup that happened in the weekend. Ash, do you want to take us through the score lines of the Champions League?
Yeah, so Wolfsburg versus United ended 5-2 to Wolfsburg. Congratulations to them. I think we all, I thought Wolfsburg would win, but I didn't think they would win so convincingly. Juventus versus Lyon finished on a draw 3-3. Arsenal versus Real Madrid ended 2-1 to Arsenal. Well done, Arsenal, for coming back. Paris FC versus Benfica ended 2-0. Valerenga versus St. Polten ended in a draw 2-2. Well done, St. Polten and Valerenga both. Twente versus Atletico Madrid ended uh, 0-4 to Atletico Madrid. I did not expect them to put 4 goals past Twente considering their defense. PSG versus Bayern ended 1-3 to Bayern. OH Louvain versus Ochoa versus Roma ended 1-1. And then Chelsea versus Barcelona also ended with a draw. Lots of draws this time.
Yeah, lots of interesting draws as well. Like Juventus, I mean, that Juventus Leon game was just so hilarious because Juventus were like 3-0 up at halftime or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening? And I
Yeah.
mean, I can't believe they threw away a three goal lead. Like, that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. And giving away a penalty, I know it was handball, it was like a handball, I think. And like, it's understandable, but come on, you can't choke like this. Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose it just shows a little bit about what Leon are sort of
Yeah.
capable of.
Yeah, I mean, they're just like, I feel like Lyon is the kind of team that sometimes, like, even in the game versus Arsenal, I felt like they turn up the dial and then they're unplayable. But
Mm.
until then, you're just like, what are they doing? You know, they're
Yeah.
just asleep. But then
Yeah.
again, we accuse Chelsea of that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like when I look at the Champions League this season, I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, like, I feel like the form has not been the most consistent with all teams, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
nobody is sort of running away with it
yeah, yeah.
yet.
Maybe, I'm wondering whether it has something to do with the fact that, because the Euros were so like tiresome. And when you have like a really big tournament and the players are all exhausted even before the season starts,
Mm.
I think that that takes a toll. And then you have all of the, like domestic games and the CL and all of that. I think more and more games are being played, and I
Yeah.
think that takes a toll on players.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like one of the factors, I think. And the other one that I've been personally very impressed with is like how teams like Juventus and Twente, who may not have taken points off of like other teams before, like especially not your Chelsea's and uh, Leons, are now doing that as well. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe somewhere. I mean, I know when we watch St. Polten, we did say how big the gap is, but
yeah,
then there are teams that have managed to close that gap a little bit as well.
yeah,
And I think that's what the league phases brings. It's one-off games. It's not over two legs. If you
yeah.
can game plan right and execute it well, then you have a chance of getting like 1 point or 3 points or whatever it is. I mean, Leuven are yeah, I mean, we'll come to the table in a little bit because as Ash and I always do, we'll look, we'll basically take a deep dive into the Champions League fixtures featuring WSL teams. Ash, which one do you want to start with?
Should we start with Chelsea? I feel like that's what everybody wants to hear about.
Okay.
Uh, Chelsea versus Barcelona, Kai, 1-1. You must like we did a live for this, and I feel like uh, I don't think it went how you expected it would go, but I think that you were over the moon. Even though it was a draw, it felt a little bit like a win.
Yeah, honestly, I think I was in the live, I was still trying to process my emotions. And 2 days after the game, like for 2 days after the game, I felt really frustrated
Yeah,
because, going into the game, I would have taken a draw. But
yeah,
seeing how well we played, I thought it was a big opportunity missed to get all 3 points, considering the chances we created.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, I was really worried that Sonia Bompasser. We talk a little bit about how stubborn she can be,
yeah,
um, and I mean, I have personally spoken about like how I don't like tact ego when it comes to tactics from a manager, and I
yeah,
worried that she's going to continue to play the way we played them last season, which was just pressing very high.
yeah,
And this tactic, I mean, we obviously changed shape. We went to the back three, but
mm,
also we sat in like a mid block of sorts. I mean, there is that video that made like crazy, what do you say, circulation that I shared with you about Katakoi just standing there with the ball at her feet for like what, a good minute or so, like 45
yeah,
seconds.
yeah,
And she was trying to invite a Chelsea press, and we were like, no, actually, just play through us. Like, we are not
yeah,
coming for it. And
yeah.
and that was a strategy. And, like, I thought we executed it really well.
Yeah, I think what there was a lot of like Barcelona fans who were like, "Oh, Chelsea were actually not playing football, and that's why nobody was pressing Kartikov." I was like, uh, Chelsea actually were tactically really brilliant there because they may not have been pressing the goalkeeper, but they were definitely pressing Paredes and Leon.
Yeah.
So I felt like what they were doing is they were recognizing where the ball starts its distribution from in
Mhm.
terms of where the play starts and pressing that player. Also because like in general they felt like there was a opportunity there to like knock the ball off out before it reaches the midfield.
Mhm.
And I don't think at any point that Chelsea were not playing football. Also because Chelsea were not sitting deep. Like it wasn't like Barcelona were just constantly peppering them with attacks, and Chelsea were just like sitting there and taking it and punishment or something like that.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the number of like Barcelona and Chelsea both had three shots on target, and the total shots were nine shots for Chelsea versus eight shots for Barcelona.
Yeah.
So if you think about it in terms of like the attacks that each of the team created, they were pretty much even on every
Yeah.
front. So I don't see it as, oh, Chelsea were sitting deep or some shit like that. So that whole like, oh, you are not pressing the goalkeeper, like you can't tell me which player I should press. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like Barcelona can't win based on everybody should play this way so we can win. That's
So
like
that we
in
can
school.
beat you, right?
Yeah, so like it's like in school where you'd be like, "Oh, this is my ball. I'm going to take it away because you're not playing the way I want you to
Yeah,
play it."
yeah. It's like sometimes, when I was a kid, I used to throw a tantrum whenever I got out in cricket. I just take the bat and be like, no, I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but no, I think, yeah, it's the overload that was created in the midfield.
Yeah,
I think the Chelsea midfield was immense, especially that
yeah,
trio of captain Kira Walsh and Aaron Cuthbert. I thought they were quite brilliant, and I feel like Barcelona were sort of pushed to play from like wide areas, which
yeah,
again that causes a lot of discomfort for them. And you
yeah,
saw that a lot of a lot of the balls that they actually lost came in those wide areas, even if it was
yeah,
like, for example, like a central player like Aggie moving out wide to win the
yeah,
ball back or something like that. So yeah, I think even I'm just looking at the stats, and Chelsea had 29 touches in the opposition box as opposed to Barcelona 16,
yeah,
which is, I mean, nearly double. And like, I've spoken about the game that we won away at Barcelona, the 1-0. And I felt
Yeah.
like in that game we did sit a little deeper, and Barcelona were definitely peppering our box.
Yeah.
And when you play like that, and I remember Alexia missed this absolute sitter towards the end
Yeah.
of the game. And, like when you think about that versus think about now, I think one of
Yeah.
the things that really stood out to me was how much we were trying to not boot the ball out every time we
Yeah.
won it in the midfield. Like they were actually looking to make a pass
Yeah.
to a player. For example, Erin won the ball back. She was trying to make a pass either out wide to Captain, or sorry, out wide to Carpenter, or trying to find either Walsh or Captain. So
Yeah.
I think that is something like just how mm, comfortable and confident we were on the ball was
Yeah.
really exciting to see for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say about the wings, you're absolutely right that like Chelsea was just going like direct and using the flanks to stretch Barcelona. And I felt like I really have to credit Carpenter and Thompson. I felt like they were the two players who were making that happen.
Yeah.
And there were points in the time in the game where Carpenter was like totally isolated because Bronze, I think, had been instructed to keep her like to stay back a little bit. And so like there were points where like Carpenter was alone and she'd be surrounded by two or three Barca players
Yeah.
and would try to be playing out. And sometimes Aggie would come help her, but like there were a lot of times where she had to make up that space by herself.
Yeah.
And she sometimes succeeded, sometimes didn't. But like the strategy itself, I think, was absolutely like
Yeah.
spot on. And Thompson was just killing it. Like I, she was absolutely immense in this game. She
Yeah.
was like she had like four sets of batteries on her.
Yeah,
Going
I
back.
think that's what having Carpenter. So, in the past, when we've played Barcelona, we've either had like a Sam Kerr or a Myra Ramirez, like a lone player who's just going to sort of hold the ball up and
Yeah,
maybe turn and like run at the goalkeeper, run at defenders, or whatever it is. I feel like now you have Carpenter as well as Thompson, who have really good pace. Aggie is okay, but what we also saw is what happens when you have players like Carpenter and Thompson who are just really fast, and the rest
yeah,
of your team is just trying to catch up.
yeah,
But in
yeah,
terms of
yeah,
creating chances, but at the same time, that role is also really like if you look at the 29 touches in the opposition box that Chelsea had, I'm sure about 16 of them is just Alyssa Thompson just running with the ball,
yeah.
and just standing there waiting for other people to arrive. So,
Yeah, and like, because Barcelona Blood was saying he was looking forward to that battle between Battle and Thompson,
yeah.
um, Onabate and Thompson, and I felt like Thompson won that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know where like Onabate was at
Yeah.
most of the time when
I
Thompson
think,
was
yeah,
running through.
Barcelona fullbacks do push up quite a bit, right?
Yeah,
And like I think the first goal comes from their Brooks is very much near the halfway line when Carpenter gets the ball at her feet, and she obviously outruns Brooks, but Mapi Leon comes and she tries to sort of put in a block, but it's too late. But yeah, I think uh, you just have to push your wing backs up. It's a gamble, right? It's a
yeah,
gamble when you're playing teams, when two teams play against each other. Like how high do you push your wing backs slash full backs?
yeah,
And with Chelsea, I think having like obviously Baltimore was a little more conservative. She was behind, and Thompson was playing in that front too, right? So I I think the fact that Carpenter has like the pace to recover, but also having like a third defender there at the back for protection, I think
yeah,
that really helped. The other thing this probably exposed is Barcelona's struggles from playing from wide areas. You know, crossing the ball in is not really their style. And I
yeah,
also feel like Chelsea did well to prevent those crosses, just like choking, just disrupting Barcelona's rhythm and pressing players well. And of course, I think another thing we need to probably remember is the fact that Patrick Guijarro was not there, was
yeah,
injured, and I think that showed a little bit in the midfield. And even
yeah.
Alexia and Aitana were not at their best. But
Best.
uh,
So this is what I want to ask you. See, the Patrick thing, it's been a while, right? Like they've had some time to adjust. And in a big team like Barcelona or Chelsea, having a player missing or being injured isn't really an excuse because you've had like Sam Kerr has been injured for 2 years. There was a point where Sam Kerr was your premier goal scorer.
Yeah.
So like that's not an excuse. But do you think it was a mistake to start Aitana?
I don't think starting Aitana was a mistake. I think she seemed like she was about 70% fit, but I thought, like, I mean, I also don't want to take away from how well Chelsea played. It's easy to say they had a bad game, but at the
Yeah,
same time, why did they have a bad game? It's probably because Chelsea midfielders did put them under a lot of pressure. That said, I mean, I remember this one play from the wide area that she played into Payo or Aitana, and like, Payo's touch was just like slightly heavy, and I think that ball sort of was slightly behind Payo as well, so she had to sort of take it from her back. There were one or two bright moments, but that's also the price Barcelona will have to pay for the squad issues that they have, because if you have to play in Europe, you need to have a deeper squad. And I think hopefully they're able to keep all their players fit. Now it's international break. Unfortunately, Spain are going to play in the Nations League final, so I don't know. It's likely that they are also not going to rest Aitana, but at some point hopefully she gets some rest, as well as like Patry comes back, so the squad, uh yeah, the issues don't bother them too much.
yeah, yeah. Um, I don't. I also kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Walsh because we've been critical of Walsh all of last year, and I feel like now that Walsh has started playing the way we imagined she would play when she came to Chelsea.
Just keep talking, I'll cut my audio, it's okay.
Okay. Now that Walsh has started playing the way we imagined she would play when she came to Chelsea, I feel like we have said once or twice that oh, this pass was great or whatever, but we haven't like comprehensively given her due. And I felt like this was a game in which we could see like the potential of Walsh to some extent, where she was she and Cuthbert were kind of like bossing that midfield, a very
Mhm.
difficult midfield to boss.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think like Kira Walsh, I remember from the 23 World Cup, like England switched to a back three at some point. I think in the second game they sort of stuck to it. And I do think playing with a back three brings the best out of Walsh, because I feel like it does give her a little bit of freedom to take some make some risky passes, and I feel like, even if she gives the ball away, there's enough cover behind her in some ways, because
Yeah,
obviously she, like, Walsh, sometimes defensively it's hard, like you misplace a pass, it's hard to recover quickly from that. So
yeah,
yeah, I think Kira Walsh has been Chelsea's best player this season. Like,
yeah,
we haven't seen the best of Erin Cuthbert, who is usually invariably the best player for Chelsea in a season. This season, I think there is no doubt that Walsh has been our best player. And, sometimes we do set up to release, say, somebody like an Alyssa Thompson very quickly, and
yeah,
having somebody who can pick out a pass to find Thompson. Uh, Kira Walsh is probably one of the best players in the world to probably do, like, have the capability to do that. And I feel
yeah.
like we've seen some of that in the last few
Yeah,
weeks.
because like I'm looking at her stats and she has 82% pass accuracy, which is decent for like these stats don't even cover how good her game was in this
Yeah.
particular game. But like 82% pass accuracy and she made two interceptions and seven recoveries, four clearances. So like definitely like the defensive aspects were all like great. She was constantly finding Thompson or Carpenter, and like that I think was and she had like uh, passes and like passes into the final third. She had like four like really good passes, three I think really good passes into the final third.
Hmm.
One was like okay whatever. So I think that she definitely like was one of your best players on the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I think I'm also thinking how much having somebody like a Walsh helps the midfield as well, in terms of their confidence to hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Um, like, if you look at, I don't think I'll comment on Jean Francois, but if you look at like Nuskin, somebody who does turn over the ball pretty easily. Cuthbert is okay. Captain, too young, like very young, inexperienced. She also has a lot of turnovers. So Cuthbert having somebody like Walsh alongside her who can
Yeah.
maybe hold on to the ball and keep ahead and make a pass, I think that probably is also helping. I don't think we can take too much away from this game as well, because you're playing Barcelona, there's extra motivation to perform. But I think the other thing we saw is Chelsea's issue with finishing that we've seen all season. Missing sitters. Like, I still cannot believe Carpenter missed that. Like, I mean, she literally, I was so sure that was going to be a goal.
Yeah.
It had to, it just had to be a goal, man. Come on. But I mean, I won't blame Carpenter because she did score a screamer in the beginning. But like, so there are issues that are still there. So I don't want to take too much away from.
But I do feel like in terms of movement, just in like let's forget the missed opportunities. Just in terms of movement and tactics and strategy and directness, I felt like this was the best 90 minutes that Chelsea have played in a really long time.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best 90 minutes Chelsea have played under Sonia Bompa. So like, I remember the 45 minutes we played against Man City where we just scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
Even that was a pretty good game, but yeah, this is probably uh, the tightest we've stayed. I mean, I honestly can't even remember, like, after Pio scores that goal, I can't think of a single clear cut chance Barcelona had.
Yeah.
I don't think they created anything. There were a lot of
There was
shots from
this, I
distance.
think one cross in that kind of like went past everybody that should have maybe been a goal.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think it was Bathia who put that cross in, and
Yeah.
yeah. Apart from that, like, I can't really think of anything like super clear cut. Also, a big shout out to Naomi Gurma. I thought she was very very impressive at the back.
Yeah, not only impressive in terms of defense, but also distribution. Like I thought that like very comfortable on the ball. That what I mean, she's known for that. But like just in general, I think people took a lot of confidence going forward with Gurma there at the back. And good on Bompasta for dropping Bright. I think that's not an easy decision to make, especially with someone as senior as Millie Bright. But it paid off, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the one challenge she puts in for that Graham Hansen's chance very early on in the game. Uh, like, I mean, if Gurma's not there, that's probably a goal. I don't want to take
Yeah.
anything away from Peng. Like, maybe she would have got a hand to it. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, it's an incredible block from Gurma. Why are you smiling?
In my head, I'm thinking Peng is now the only goalkeeper at Chelsea with no trauma against Barcelona.
You know what? I'll take it because that's what I think that is almost what worried me the most. Chelsea have this BTS like video that they usually have after a match, and there was this shot from the tunnel where Peng is just standing there, and she looked so nervous. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
did tweet asking people like, "Is this just Peng's face, or does she look really scared?" Because she looked really nervous. But yeah,
Risky
I mean,
anxiety face.
yeah. But I mean, fair play to Chelsea. I think they did a really good job. She didn't have too much to do. I don't think she could have done anything about the goal, and the goal conceded. Defending set pieces, maybe something we'll chat about later with Chelsea. But yeah, Ash, unless you have something else, maybe we can move on to Wolfsburg versus United.
Okay, so Wolfsburg versus United, 5-2. Rolfo first scored in the 14th minute, then Perimors equalized in the 17th minute, then scored a brace in the 37th minute. Then Berenstein scored in the 45th minute, then Mallard equalized in the 45th plus second minute. So until then, it looks pretty even Stevens at halftime. And after which, Berenstein scored again in the 65th minute, and then Enderman scored in the 90 plus 6th minute in extra time to bring it to 5-2. My God, I am enjoying this uh, we said United squad is not deep enough. United squad is not deep enough. But I'm so enjoying this downturn in form that United have, simply because I always felt like Skinner was a little bit lucky with his form, because he had these great players who would like get him through a lot of games, and I didn't think it was like a tactical efficiency type situation. How did you feel about this game?
Yeah, I mean this game just showed. Listen, it's been a tough few weeks for United, right? They've the games that they've basically had that game against Villa, they lost against Villa. Then they had that match against PSG, which they won. So maybe that means, oh, maybe the loss against Villa is not too bad. But then you come back and you lose very badly in the Manchester derby, right? And then again, a lot. See, these are tough games. Loss against Wolfsburg, I felt like kind of, I don't know. I think it was a mix of tactical problems that Manchester United had, and also just errors. And I feel like the errors, you know, like I think I watched the first half of this game. I didn't watch the whole thing, but basically the errors that you see from Manchester United partly is just due to tiredness. Like you can
Yeah.
see how, like, the Manchester United team that we know, they're very switched off in defense. And this is one of those, sorry, switched on in defense. And this is one of those games where they were just not switched on. And
I genuinely feel that's the missing, like it's PTJ missing. Because I feel like earlier we used to criticize her over organizing in the box, etc. But she does lead from the front in a sense. Like she's constantly calling people to be switched on. Like I do feel like she's a
maybe,
leader in that defense.
yeah, maybe, but that's the thing. Like, you can't. I mean, see, this is the same team and fan base that argues that May Letitia is a leader. So, how many
Yeah.
leaders? Like, if one leader drops out, you need somebody else to step up. Because in this game,
Yeah.
I don't think May Letitia or Dominic Janssen, who are two experienced defenders, um, I don't think they were doing Safia Middleton Patel any favors. Like some of those
Yeah.
back passes and all that was just listen, it's just a game to forget for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
And to be fair, it was Wolfsburg away. Like, it's not going to get a lot tougher than that in the Champions League. It is one of
except
the hardest
Leon
fixtures.
that they have next.
Oh, yes. I feel bad for them
No, but
now.
that's what I'm saying with United, right? So they basically made the playoffs, I think, at this point. So
Yeah,
they can afford to lose to Lyon because they got 3 points out of the matches that they should have, which is beating
yeah.
Valerenga. They beat PSG, who are
PSG.
sitting at the bottom of the table, and they beat Atletico Madrid. So they've done the job. Now, yeah, I think Wolfsburg away is definitely one of the, like, Wolfsburg were a pot one team. They probably thought of that game as a super tough one, for sure. So it's okay. I think the disappointing bit is how some of the goals were conceded. Like Wolfsburg very clearly were instructed just shoot on sight.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they wanted to probably take advantage, just test the goalkeeper, right? You have
yeah.
a, like, goalkeeper who's not super experienced, a backline that is getting used to this new goalkeeper who's come in. So they were just like, the first three of the Wolfsburg goals came from outside the box.
Yeah, they were great goals. I have to say,
Yeah, lovely
all of those,
finish.
like the first three goals from Wolfsburg were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I think with in terms of defending, that's what I'm saying. So, like, you know like, it's easy to say it's a PTJ shaped hole in that defense, but I also feel like United got so much of the basics wrong. Like,
Yeah,
closing down on people. United are usually front footed with their defending, and
yeah.
they were just backing off. They were backing off, backing off, backing off on so many different occasions. And if you do that, then obviously they're just going to shoot whenever they can. Um,
But I also think that when you have so many tough games one after the other, there is like they did for the first half. I thought they were good. Like I thought they were competitive. Mallard was pressing from the front. Like I haven't watched all of the game. I've watched it in bits and pieces. But like I did watch more of the first half than I did the second. And I did think that they were not bad in the first half. I reckon that sometimes just playing that full 90 with a team that's played two or three tough games and a squad that is canned is going to just it's going to cost you. You're going to lose,
Yeah.
5 goals to Wolfsburg.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm not like I think maybe until that goal in the 60th, 61st minute that came,
Yeah,
United were very much in the game, and you're right. Like Mallard was probably one of the bright sparks in that United team. I don't think anybody else really. I thought Zigiotti struggled, Miyazawa struggled. I don't
yeah.
think anybody else had a very good game.
Yeah, I also
Uh,
think, I'll tell you what I also think is that I don't think that bench is stepping up the way they needed them to step up. Like, Skinner has been doing rotation for the last 2 weeks where,
yeah,
like Turland and Mallard will switch in games. And then, like Ahujo will come on. And in this game, Ahujo started. So these are the players like Ahujo, players like Leah Galton, players like Gabby George and Nalson, they have not stepped up to the challenge of being as good as the first 11. And I think that that's really costing them because when you do a rotation and you have a Ujo there, it's not really offering you as much.
I honestly think Awujo has been good for
Yeah,
United. Like I thought she was good in the derby, and that's where she gets a start in this game. And I think like she's definitely a player that I want to see more of,
yeah,
even if it is in the like in the next like few games, just a consistent set of games that she gets to play. But yeah, I agree. I think that's another thing with the Manchester United squad, right? Like we talk about we not when we talk about the squad depth, we not just talking about numbers, but just the drop off in quality. And I feel
yeah,
like that's true across the pitch. Like
yeah.
I mean, um, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
tough
and
one.
like I think more than actually the bench players, one a player that we should call out is Zigiotti because Zigiotti's had a terrible week. I think she's
Yeah.
been bad in every game she's played in the last week, like last
Yeah,
week.
I think Zigiotti and Miyazawa, I think they've both been struggling. Miyazawa less so, but I think Zigiotti probably just tired because she's
Yeah,
obviously a player who does a lot of running for that team. So maybe the international break will be a good reset, but I suspect she's going to start for Sweden again in that third place match in the Nations League.
yeah,
Yeah, Ash, move. Shall we move on to Arsenal versus Real Madrid?
yeah,
Okay. All right. Hang on. Let me just pull up the scores real quick. Okay. Arsenal versus Real Madrid finished 2-1 to Arsenal. Caroline Weir opened the scoring in the match in the 43rd minute. Then Russo scored a brace in the 53rd and 67th minute. Obviously, a very, very important win for Arsenal, Ash, because they really needed that result. And and after that result, they don't look too badly placed in the table.
yeah, yeah. I think there's always a case of you just need to like one or two wins to like get back on in the game, and everyone because it's the table's pretty packed, like it's pretty close to each other after the first two teams or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that Arsenal has some rethinking to do because this in this game they didn't start with Stina Russo in that front two combination. They went with their like traditional Smith Russo Kelly, as in two wingers and a striker, front three. And I think that worked better for them. And I will say this as well, like when Arsenal play a game that requires crossing, it's useful to have Chloe Kelly there. I don't
Yeah.
think Chloe Kelly had like the most amazing game or anything. She was subbed out with a card. I forget at what time. In
A
the
stupid,
63rd minute.
a stupid
Uh,
card.
yeah, and but when she does cross the ball, she crosses it in accurately.
Yeah.
She has one strength. She has a one trick pony, but
Mm-hmm.
what she does well, she does very well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that maybe Arsenal need to think about. giving her. The thing is, generally when she starts, she does a bad job. Coming off the bench, she does a great job. This was a this was one of the few games where she started and she did what was required of her.
You know what it is? I think so. I don't know if you go back to the Real Madrid uh, home leg that Arsenal had last season. I think
Yeah,
all three of their, at least the first two goals, comes from crosses, and I feel
yeah,
like Arsenal probably identified defending crosses as a weakness in Real Madrid and wanted to target that because we saw a ton of crossing in this game from Arsenal.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was a lot of crossing, so. Yeah, clearly that's something they targeted. They felt maybe Real Madrid, and I mean it did pay off because my
yeah,
God, some of the defending was just horrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, but uh, apart from that, like what else did you make of this game? I know we watched it live. Yeah.
You know, I will say even though Arsenal won this game, and I thought they won it convincingly. I thought Real Madrid were not good on the day. In general, I am worried about how deep Mariona has been playing. You
Hmm.
know, Um she's been collecting balls all the way back to where Catley is.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering in the long run whether this harms them. I will say that I thought she had a great game, Mariona. I think that deeper role, she did it really well, and she was kind of like bossing that midfield definitely. But I still feel like in the long run, it will hurt them to have Caldente so deep.
Hmm.
Uh,
No, you know what I think? So a
yeah,
real, like a very simple fix to that is probably having Leah Williamson back, which I'm assuming will happen in December or maybe in Jan.
yeah,
Uh, because obviously, like she's somebody they look to play the ball from out back. So
yeah,
having her back, I think, will be a big, like a big boost for them in terms of how they build up.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I understand your concern. Like you don't need Mariona. You shouldn't have a player like Mariona that deep. But I was also
Yeah.
impressed with Cooney Cross. I thought that midfield worked really well. I think they were
I
physical.
genuinely feel like Cooney Cross has been Arsenal's best midfielder in the last 2 3 games.
Hmm.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
I think she's a very talented player, and I'm just hoping she gets a good run of games because I feel like having Pelova and Mariona play together somehow I feel like there's like a lack of balance.
Yeah,
And yeah, like thing is with Manam, she's not somebody who's going to be like a creative outlet. Like she's also somebody who tries to sort of uh, make a run in behind or shoot from the edge of the box or something like that. Like I don't really see her as being like a big provider. So I understand the reluctance to play Manam in the number 10 role.
yeah,
Um, but like I think this midfield looks balanced. Like you said, like a lot of people are saying like Arsenal were not comfortable in this game. I disagree. Like
yeah,
obviously in that second half, Real Madrid come in and they have two big chances. Like they steal the Barcelona ball off the Arsenal defenders and uh, they're just not able to like score that second goal. Um, but apart from that, I don't think in the second half Real Madrid had anything at all to offer. So I
yeah.
think it was a very controlled performance from Arsenal.
Yeah, I
Um,
also agree. I think it was a definitely Arsenal's game. Like, I, I think they were mostly in control of the game, and I really enjoyed seeing Russo back in that number 9
hmm,
position.
yeah.
It was as a target person with Russo's hold up play and Russo's ability to not just be good in front of goal but also aerially.
Hmm.
I thought that Russo, like we've been wondering whether Russo's a 9, whether Russo's a 10. I feel like this game has kind of answered that question for
Yeah.
us.
I don't think it's like I respect the experiment. I do.
Yeah,
But my point is when you have like players like Mario Nakaira Kunikros, Victoria Pelova, and Frida Manam, who are all essentially tens.
yeah,
That's the funny thing. None of them are eights, like or sixes.
yeah,
Like they're all tens, right? Why the fuck are you playing Alessia Russo in the
yeah,
ten? Like, I mean, it's listen. I do respect the experiment. She had to give it a shot, and I
yeah,
understand because you have two goal scorers in Stina and Russo, and you want to try and figure out how they can play together,
Play both. Yeah.
if they can play together. And fair enough, but I think, yeah, like you said, this game kind of like puts all those conversations to bed. It's done.
Yeah.
Russo's going to play as a striker.
I mean, I don't know as what Slega is going to do in the next game because she's also not the most predictable currently.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, Ash. So at the end of match day 4, the table looks like this. PSG obviously at the very bottom, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little shocked. Barcelona are top. I'm just, when I look at the table, I'm really frustrated because, like, I think we could have potentially been at the top of the table if we had just finished one of those
Oh.
chances. But anyway, it's okay. It's fine. I'm not gonna whine
No,
about
how
it
would
too
you have
much.
been at top of the table? Even if you had scored another goal, you
Hmm.
would have had a less goal difference than Barcelona. You would have been points
No,
equal,
but we
but
would
goal
no
difference
we.
less.
Oh yeah, possibly,
You have
possibly.
plus 10. You would have scored, you would have been plus
Plus
11.
11. Yeah, still, well, up
You
there,
would
I
have been
guess.
second.
Second, yeah. Fair enough, yeah. But you know, I think no, but Barcelona would have been on 9 points, no? We would have been on 11 points. No,
Oh
10 points.
yeah, 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 yeah. Sorry, sorry,
Anyway,
sorry.
yeah,
Math
yeah,
is not mathing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But fair enough. I think, yeah. Right now in the top four, we have Barcelona, Lyon, Wolfsburg, and Manchester United, and yeah, and at the bottom is Paris Saint Germain without a point. Like that's just wild. That's just wild to me. But anyway, all right, Ash. Let's move on really quickly to the Subway League Cup, shall we? Um,
Martha Thomas scored. Martha Thomas scored.
yeah,
I'm so happy. You know, it's so dreadful to have a striker that can't score a goal. If anyone can fix this person, I feel like it's Martin Ho. And like if miracle of miracles comes true, because I feel like Martha Thomas is the kind of player that just needed that initial goal to understand that I can put the ball in the back of the net.
yeah,
And so I genuinely believe there's a purple patch incoming. I genuinely
yeah,
believe it. Like
yeah,
not the kind of like 6 goals in 6 games purple patch that she had the start of last season. No, last to last season. Oh my
yeah.
god, it's been so long. But but
Oh my
like
god.
even if she scores like 1 or 2 goals here and there, I'm just going to be happy because I'm really worried that Spurs don't have enough goal scorers.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, you have to hope. But what are you without hope as a football fan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So obviously, the League Cup, how it works, crazy, crazy stuff. But we have three teams that have direct qualification into the League Cup quarterfinals by virtue of playing in the Champions League. So United, Chelsea, and Arsenal have direct qualification. But apart from that, there have been people, I mean, clubs that have been grinding it out, playing League Cup group stages. So Man City finished top of Group A, Liverpool top of Group B, West Ham top of Group C, Palace top of Group D, and Spurs on top of Group E. So that basically, yeah, is are all our quarterfinalists. I think later today is when the draw is going to happen for the Subway League Cup quarterfinals. So keep your
Yeah.
eyes open for that.
Yeah, I hope that they're screening all of the quarterfinal games because until now they have not been like they will only screen the televised game on YouTube and everything else is just highlights. It's very
Yeah,
annoying.
it's very annoying. It's just like I honestly haven't caught up on like many of the highlights because it's just so irritating to miss these games. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have any other football, like women's football happening, so ideally it would be nice to actually just watch these games on TV. But yeah, it's really frustrating. But yeah, I'm sure they'll have knockouts on YouTube. I'm hoping, I'm pretty sure actually. I think last season we did. But yeah, I think that wraps up our conversation for today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you're regular, do not forget to hit that like button and leave some comments below. Ash, I think we'll catch them next time, later in the week. Yeah, later in the week with another video. So it's bye bye from the both of us.